Fellow Agilists, it's Friday and you know what that means. It's time for another Agile Game of the Week. This week's Agile Game of the Week is Agile Battleships, a game that's all about feedback loops. In this virtual game we contextualise the challenges around feedback loops and highlight the importance of them, and in particular shortening them. We explore through a serious game what happens when we have delayed feedback versus instant feedback. When should you use this game? Question: are your teams not bought into doing daily stand-ups because they feel it's too many meetings? Are your teams perhaps not getting the feedback they need from their stakeholders, their team themselves, or customers? Then this game is for you. Play this game with your teams or those within your company to show them in a real tangible way how it feels and what the result is when feedback is delayed. Now, like all my virtual games, we use the 4Cs approach to connect the attendees to the subject matter, to contextualise and provide a chance for concrete practice, followed by a retrospective session or a conclusion at the end to draw and learn from what we discover. As always, the game intends to be interactive. Special credit goes to Box UK for creating and hosting the Agile Battleships game. A link to it is provided within this board. We'll explore after a few rounds what the difference is and how it feels to have delayed feedback versus instant feedback. And as always, we'll begin with exploring what people understand a feedback loop to be and what examples of feedback loops do they use in their working experience. We then divide people up into teams. We've got a Halloween theme here. It's obviously Halloween today. So the names are Ghost, Ghoul, Witch and Vampire. So you can run this in parallel with up to 32 people. And essentially you'll divide people up into teams, set them into their breakout groups, and then send them off to the Box UK website. Now it's a very easy game. You can play this within 15 minutes and you start by playing round one. And round one is about delayed feedback. You invite the team, and the way I tend to do this is I do a round robin. I invite each person to share a grid reference for battleships, one at a time, and then keep going around until all 30 shots are fired. Now in this round, as you'll see from playing this game, you don't get to see if you hit any ships. And as I'm sure you can imagine, the consequence of that is most teams, they don't sink many ships at all. After the round, you'll explore how it feels to play, and you get to see how many shots they actually successfully hit. In this instance, I failed. I hit 9 times, but I only sunk 1 ship. And you explore with the team how it feels to play that and what parallels they may draw with their real life work. In this instance, this is an example of a lack of feedback, meaning that their stories, the work they're working on in their sprints, in their iterations, they're not getting feedback loop quick enough, and therefore the stories aren't being completed in time. So they're not releasing any value to their customers. And you explore with the team how it felt to be in that situation. Was it frustrating? Was it motivating? You then move into round 2, which is all about instant feedback, and this is where the traditional Battleships game comes into play. In this round, same scenario. You're given 30 shots, and there's a timer running as well, but this time you get to hear and see what happens if you hit successfully. And that allows you to pivot accordingly. So I've just hit something in E3, I can choose F3, no, D3, great, I'm looking at 6. As I'm sure you can imagine, I'm going to click through randomly now. You are far more likely to be successful in this round when playing with instant feedback. I've got 5 shots remaining. Okay, I successfully sank 5 things, 13 hits. Now for me, you can see here clearly the number of shots fired, the number of hits, and the number of ships sunk. And you can draw a very real parallel between this and the working world. When we're working in sprints, we're working in iterations. If we're accepting stories into our sprints and we're working on them but without feedback loops or having delayed feedback loops, odds are we end up in a situation where we start lots of things but don't finish them. So the importance of feedback loops is very much highlighted. Of course, we top the game off with a retrospective, a conclusion session to examine what we've learned and how it felt playing the game, and this should provide ideally some actionable takeaways for those involved. In the conclusion session here, we explore what challenges people observe playing the game, what did they learn about feedback loops, and we investigate how they can shorten those feedback loops in their working lives. If anyone wants to access this Miro downloadable file, then just again contact me and I'll send a copy to you, or I'll be soon making all of my downloadable files available on my website. And in next week's Game of the Week, Agile Game of the Week, we'll be playing Drawosaurus, which is a fun Friday afternoon style activity to unwind with your team, or a great intro icebreaker to warm people up to what might be quite a challenging session or quite a long session. If you've enjoyed this video, then don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the content I'm sharing. And as always, fellow Agilists, don't stop believing.